I'm Walter Vanhaerents. I'm a Belgian collector, and I started collecting about 40 years ago, in the end of the 70s, with more classical art, and then I changed to collecting more contemporary art. And one of my big influences was the work of Andy Warhol. Certainly the films that he created was for me very important, because when I was a student I was involved in cinema. I was a very big fan of cinema, and it helped me a lot to look at things. So because art is for me still visual, very visual, and I was my first approach with Warhol were his films, who always flopped. And Warhol always needed to make socialite portraits to finance his films. So that was my first contact. But then I quickly were interested in Andy Warhol and what I call the post-Warholians. And it was like the start of my interest. But after a certain time, it went much broader. It didn't remain there. And after collecting 20 years, being a constructor and real estate developer, I said I would like to have a space for my collection, just for myself and for storage, and that brought me here after a long search in Brussels. Finally, my goal was to find a space with character, who was really art and architecture would have like joint forces to bring to bring the work in a better perspective, and that's in a few words how it went. Contemporary art is for me so simple, because I was always looking in my personality is looking forward and never backwards. So it's like a position that I think I have to look in the future and not be busy with what was gone over. And it's related to my person, because there are many things from the past that I don't remember. And my sister often said, "But Walter, do you know what happened then and then in your yacht?" And I always forgot, you know. And I'm someone who really want to be in the moment, but also look forward. I'm not a collector who will. I have no restriction, but I will not going backwards. So that means that I will not buy now a work from an artist from the 60s. See, and for me it's very interesting to be actually in the world and find artists who are busy in my time, and collect them, give them a platform or support them. The only thing that I do is buying their work when they are still young or they're still in their mid-careers. My mostly research before, now it totally changed because of the internet and all the possibilities, was I visited galleries all the time. So that was, now you have a lot of art fairs, but for me it was mostly galleries that I visited, and also biennales mostly, like Documenta and the Whitney Biennial and things like that. So it was my main, and then that's a bit the platform where I like to operate, you know, because I don't want the stress of a fair. I want the competition for me, and I always take my time. So you see, it's not that I let push me up to take decisions. Always with one idea, searching for the big quality work, the one of the top pieces, and that's sometimes a very long way. When I started collecting, it was like a very small group of people collecting. And it was just we did it for pleasure, not for gain. And I still remember the period of '91 when there was a big crisis, and the value of there was a 4/5 of the value of a work. The works were like a work that you bought for $100,000 was $20,000 worth. So it was never that I collected for a gain. The only thing that you say with a hobby that you can lose money, huh? If you do a hobby like sailing or so, it's a cost. You never have. And art was a bit the same thing. But now, 15 years ago, everyone jumped on the market, and there was a lot of speculation, you know. And then you get in a totally other situation. That because I'm looking in the contemporary scene, I find my way. There are many collectors didn't find their way anymore now. because they are troubled. The scene is too big. They are not, they don't know what to buy. It's so. At the end, they don't see the quality. They cannot see what's quality work and what not. So they buy names who are really very popular, but they forget to look at the artwork. And that's, of course, a totally other situation. But I still, with my training years, and I always went to did big efforts to go to galleries also in weekend or to museums. I still see clear, and I can detect an artist that I say, okay, I will choose that artist and not the others. But sometimes it's hard because the whole world is sometimes there are waiting lists, and you know the story, and then it's hard to eventually to collect the works from the artist you want to have. For me, art was like let's say I had a very big job. I was very young in the business, and it was very tough. And for me, art was more when I came to art and I started collecting. It was like something I felt to stand in this life, to be upright and to continue, because the stress was very big. And art was for me like you have like a sort of, like you do sport or you do sailing, things like that, to remain stable in this life. And I took all my interests involved that I had at the time: architecture, design, fashion, film, and all the influences I tried to mix in my interest in art. And yeah, it was like a way of living also in a second. Next to the business, who is very rational, the ratio, art is not that. Art is sentiment, feeling. Is my female side. And I quickly decided if I would have like the balance in my life, I should develop not only the very hard business in construction, but very tough, but also show to keep the balance in the life. And then I choose art. For someone else, it can be skiing or I don't know, or swimming, but it's totally different because art has still the idea of the richness of the impressions and the feeling, and you cannot compare art with sport, But that was for me the balance. And I came to art through that, in fact, because I was looking for something that could bring me calm, bring me down, give me like my feelings that I could not show in my business because it was tough. I had to be very operate and be hard even in business. I have some artists who are friends, but I'm not really involved with artists. And I think I will tell you why. I think it's most important for me to keep the distance so that I can take my decisions, and that I'm not related to an artist. That I have to. A friend with an artist could have make me let bad choices, and be too friendly can say okay, we are friends, okay, you so it gives me the distance to look from. And in fact, I have an artist who is a very, very good friend, and I will tell you something. I told him, as long as we are friends, I will never buy work from you. I think it's not very sympathetic to tell that, but it's the way to look at things and to be, taking your decisions away from the person. It's not about the artist. Some people say, which artist? But I don't collect artists. I collect artworks. And sometimes the distance is also, some artists understand that, like David Altmech, who is also a friend from me. At a certain moment we are together, we say, let's take a bit distance again. So that I can choose the work by David that I like, and not that I feel I have connected some friendship and now I have to buy something. Yeah, I'm social. I had a business. I worked with 150 people all the time, so socializing is for me not a problem. But I don't want to go with other people to see art. It's my personal thing. It's my personal impression. I don't need people around me. So my wife goes with me because sometimes I'm lost with organization, but she joins me. But it's not the meaning to. yeah, to go with people or to have advisors around you, or yeah. I learned it by myself, and I don't have to look at to listen to advisors. Well, I have very good relations with many galleries, but I'm not an artist who a collector who buys their whole program. I will never do that. There's no gallery I buy the whole program, and certainly not that I should buy like many collectors do. They go with one gallery, and there are 5 shows, and they buy a work from each show, whatever it is. It's a question of a lack of personality if you do that. You have to make your own choice and not let a gallerist decide. Sometimes there's a gallerist who calls me and said, "Walter, I have a work for you." I said, "You don't have to choose for me. I will make my own choice. And if I cannot have that choice, I will not buy the work." Choice now for someone else. Finally, they decide where the work go, and there are 20 works, and you only have chance to have one work, in fact. And they decide which work you can have. No, it's very that distance with collectors. Yeah, it's very distant because many are jealous from each other. They are, sometimes on the same artist, and then you have, the competition, and I'm not involved in that. You cannot collect for someone else. Yeah, it's very selfish. If you are not do that, if you don't give your own idea inspiration, I'm totally free. And if it doesn't succeed there, and it doesn't succeed with the work by an artist, I choose another one. No frustration. I said sometimes to very young collectors also, if you go on the market, it will be very difficult now, because we say, "Who are you? What have you?" I know that. Some galleries call me and they say, "There is someone in the gallery. Do you know the guy? Is he confident?" Like that, and we'll never have chance to buy something. Certainly not the high quality things. And that's okay. Freedom is like I explained, is like I can make my own choices, that I have no obligations, that I, not financially, not in contracts. Okay, and many people know that I'm a confident collector, that I don't sell things, that I am patient, that I try to, that I support artists in their young career also, and I take sometimes decisions very early with artists. And but there is no obligation. That's not what I collect the artist. I supported him when he was very young, that he has to do something in return for me. It's totally freedom. Yeah, it has to be like that. I think. Otherwise, it's not pleasure to collect. Then you get in discussion, you get in frustration, and they said, "Okay, I cannot have that work," and and then people get so involved in that view that they cannot think of something else. But there are millions of artists in the world. Make your choice and look at something else. And don't get blocked because you say, "Oh, that's what I want." For me, it was like much better was I combined it with my activity in business. Now the only thing that I do is being with art, and the more that I'm now involving with the art business, the more I'm restricted. The more I can really say no, and I can really wait till I found that I have to do it, and there's no hurry. And it's very much related to what we do here, making shows by 3 years long, and it's the same inspiration, And if you are in a hurry, you buy something. No, wait for a good piece, wait for the occasion, and in many cases that will fall in your hands like that. And if you are not patient and you are, let's say, want to go too quick, then often you. And that's why fairs are bad, they press you all the time. So. But I have a few galleries, there are not many, who say sometimes acquiring work, they say, "Walter, take your time. We are not, take even 5-6 months, or even longer." They say, "Okay, we have a piece for you and that if you like it, but take your time." But that's extraordinary now in this. There are only a few to do that. All the rest want to sell, want to, it quickly, the market idea, and yeah. I collect globally, yeah. And I'm a bit different, I think, from the collectors in Belgium, who doesn't look at the scene in the Far Orient or things like that. So I collect over the whole world, yeah. And that's a bit different, I think. Most Belgian collectors are involved in European, American art, things like that. And I look over the border a lot, yeah. Like in the early beginning, I collected a lot of Japanese artists like Takashi Murakami, very early work. The masterpieces by him, the 3-4 masterpieces, I'm the only collector who has them. I was contacted to sell them many times. There's no way that I would sell them. So that's, of course, that was very early that I was interested in like Yoshitomo Nara, when he was very young and was in Düsseldorf. And so, yeah, that's... so that was already Japan. So, and when we show works from Japan, then they come here, we show for you. I say, oh, Vanhaerents is a Japanese collector, but then each time that I make a show, I try to show other influences that are in my artworks, from architecture, from fashion, from say different points that are in my person. And my interest is very bright, from music to theater to and that's that view you need. And also digital art, I'm looking now at it. So the video also. And there's also only one thing. I look at the medium. I say, what would an artist tell to me, and which medium does he use? And if he choose the wrong medium, if he said, okay, like painters, they won't make sculpture, it's awful. They cannot do that. I immediately feel that. So, and why should I not buy a video if that's a real good medium to express the ideas of the artist? So I look really how the artists use the medium also. That's very important. You have the local market and you have the global market. And you have many markets existing and many people also collecting in local markets and yeah, I'm more fond of a global market because I think that the influences from artists from different countries who mix all the experiences in their life are much more richer than people really focusing on the local things, and they stick sometimes in that, And now we have a worldwide vision, and I think really the global idea is for me important, and I look also at that because in the very early beginning I started collecting locally, you see, and quickly I discovered that those artists who were just around me didn't have the strength and the inspiration that I found later when I visited certainly Germany and the new museums, and I saw totally other art, away from the local stories. Yeah? And that's why the globalization of the market brought artists who, take some influences from all continents and properly do it in a very excellent way to mix them and to bring something in their artwork that's have a global feeling. I never bought a piece from another artist. But sometimes I have the problem because I come in a gallery and they say, no, Walter, we cannot sell to you because you are not buying our program. I say, okay, no problem. You are not confident to a gallery because you come for one artist and we have people who buy from each show, and then okay, that happens. For young collectors, I would say, go first to galleries, show your interest, learn about an artist, see that you can give really good interest and speak with a gallerist if he's there still. That's also a big problem. Gallerists are never in their gallery anymore. They're always traveling, and you come in a gallery, you find someone that do administration, and you have never contact with the gallerist, what we had before. They're never at home, and there's no explanation. You cannot hardly get a price, They said, oh, we have to call someone to give. But it's the only way, I think. to start like that, or going to museums, to let's say big shows, and have an overview of a work, and then express your interest and start with that. But there are not really streamings. There are not really the artists become mostly individual. There are not, let's say, sections like Arte Povera or but of course because it's so global, it's very difficult to find your way. And I must say there's very much bad art at the moment, very, very, very much trash. And I think people, because they don't have the patience to look seriously at it, they don't see it anymore. There are so many influences. People now, when they operate, they look there, they with the computer, they do things together, they multitask, and that's multitasking, multi-viewing is very bad for art. And that's why a fair is bad, because you look at, you cannot. I train myself sometimes to go to fair that I do like that, and I can focus on one work and forget the rest. But it's very hard to do. It was easy before because I was unknown. I could go in fairs, no one knew me. Now it's much more difficult. And that was a very good position that I liked, to go unknown, to see the work, to be calm. You can go and no one know you, and you have to don't conversation like that, everything like that. See? And that's a bit the problem, because people don't see it anymore. They don't discover the quality anymore because they are impatiently looking. It's iPhone, it's family, it's all things together. And there was an interesting initiative which joins really my point of view, is the idea of slow art. And about 8 months ago, there was an initiative in Brussels that I didn't know, was that they went to a museum and they only view one piece with one guide for half an hour, but only one piece, not more than that. And try that people could concentrate. What's not possible, but want to take a picture, and all of it's a horror with all the photographs. Just people come to look to take pictures, and at the end they look at photographs. They don't look at the real work, and they concentrate. And the concentration, you see it with younger people, with children, is very, very difficult now. That's why there is so much bad art that is bought, and people will. Yeah, I think you put it in. You have to, in a couple of years, you have to throw it away. But my experience led me that I can do the distinction. Also, I train myself to do that. Going each weekend that I have the time to go to museums. One day to Paris, starting in the morning at 6. At evening, 6 o'clock, eating something. Return 3 hours back to my home, working on Sunday. I did it years and years and years. Like stolen time, and build it up.